What's up, everybody? This is Anthony from Airsoft, and I have returned. Got my battle buddy,
Matt.
And today we're going to be doing a review of these here PTS EPM mags.
It's been a while since we've done an Honest Guys review, so...
Yeah, it's been a minute, so we're going to do it.
There you go.
Alright guys, so here's the deal. Everybody wants to look swag, right? Like we did in Dom's videos for showing you how to wear your gear. In Airsoft, it's all about maintaining relevancy, so that way you can up tier and become more popular. And that's exactly how you need to stay in the hobby, because otherwise you'll just burn out and be at the bottom, right? Sarcasm alert. But... So everybody,
you all need warnings now.
Everybody needs warnings now because I can't be sarcastic without people taking it serious. So everybody wants swaggy magazines that look cool in their gun, right? Mm. And you want something that's also effective. Back in the day, you had these bros. These right here are the PTS Magpul P-Mags. These are really great.
These are the old guys, too.
These are old. These are real. These are like plus 5 or 6 years old at least.
These mags are actually from Kurt's stash.
Kurt hides a lot of cool stuff everywhere.
He has a lot of really
He likes to squirrel things away, and then like you find it like a decade later, and you're like...
These are the ones that still have the official Magpul licensing on them,
yep,
not just PTS. So
these are licensed by Magpul.
Sought out.
Everybody loves these magazines for impressions and stuff like that because they have the proper look and they are built really well. They're user serviceable. You can pull them apart and you can stretch the springs back out or put new springs in them. They sell replacement springs still for these if you have these still. If you have them and you want to contact PTS, they will sell you springs and followers for these still.
Yep.
They're expensive, BT dubs. So just keep that in mind.
And these mags are still expensive.
These mags are still expensive. Used, I've seen these go for about $40 to $50 a mag.
Yep.
For some people. And that's absurd, right? But they filled a really great void in the airsoft market. They didn't look like regular Stenad mags. They weren't the cheap, plasticky looking ones. They were still effective, and they looked good, and they were tough. These are made of the same polymers that Magpul uses on its accessories. So they're nice and strong. Nice and strong. So... Problem was there was a lot of unlicensed copies that were being made, and Magpul was like, we're done. So they pulled the licensing from PTS, and then that's why these PTS Midcaps disappeared. You can still find them in some shops overseas and in some shops here. Every once in a while they pop up. But for the most part, unless you're really good at Google Foo, and there's some real backwater place that's like not been touched by the sands of time, these are pretty much hard to get. When PTS was making their grand resurgence back into the airsoft market, they decided to come out with a new magazine that has a similar like design aesthetic to the PMag, but they can make on their own and they don't have to worry about it. So Matt, go through all of the features and swagalicious parts that go along with the brand new EPM magazines from PTS.
Okay, so what they had in mind was... They wanted to do something that would be on par with this guy like we just went over. But they also knew that there were so many extra models of guns coming out on the market and little niches that needed to be filled, little teeny things that needed to be tweaked for airsoft guns. So they tried to fill those gaps. One of the most notable ones is this very flat surface on the front. A couple years ago, the Elite Force 416s became very popular, still are. If you had the standard P-Mags, you had to do a little bit of shaving and file work to get these to fit, and a lot of guys didn't like modding their stuff, so right off the bat, PTS was like, fix that.
Yeah, basically these are made for a European magwell that has a straight vertical fold, whereas an American magwell has an angled cut in it that allows mags that are slightly more curved to fit in. So...
that being said, obviously we've tested these in VFCs, work flawlessly. They are, as we stated earlier, these are 190 rounder midcaps. You're almost pinging at high cap levels, high caps 300
versus a 120.
190. So the capacity was very well. They're double stack staggered. That's how they got you to be able to fit everything inside. They are Ranger Plate, Magpul Ranger Plate compatible. Very awesome, especially for when you do speed reloads and things like that. You can drop your mag and not really worry about just bashing the crap out of it.
They come with a really nice base plate, by the way, anyways, where you can mark what mag numbers you have on this matrix on the bottom.
Yep.
They're also textured, and they have a little bumper on the bottom, so you can basically use it as a mag pod.
Yep. Mag stands itself up.
Pretty cool.
It also comes with a orange follower, so unless you're using really crappy BBs, which you shouldn't be, you will know when your magazine is out. If you drop it out of the gun, you can see that orange immediately instead of some that it's recessed or it's different color. You know immediately that your mag is out. You can also... The entire internal mechanism is clear, so you can see the orange follower as it goes through.
At the 50% mark.
Now, what a lot of guys actually do is, as you can see on this exploded mag, this is just your shell. You can take your little fake bullets out, and then you can actually see the spring going through, so that actually gives you more knowledge of how many rounds and how it's feeding and everything. They also made these kind of smooth on the outside. There's a little bit of textured areas on the front and back, kind of for gripping and everything. But for the most part, they made them smooth, so they actually fit almost flawlessly in all your Kydex inserts. You know, if trying to keep your kits streamlined and everything, because a lot of guys would have issues with these little fins on P-mags catching and kind of making it rough to do stuff. So they made them smooth, and I'm a fan of that.
I really like them. So the big deal is you're here for the review, right? That's what you're here for.
Yeah.
We talked about the features. I like them. They hold a lot of rounds. Truth be told, I never load them past 100 rounds anyways because I like to keep my springs nice and strong, and I like to memorize how many rounds I have in my mags. Only loading them to 100 rounds consistently means that I have a really good idea of when they're getting ready to be empty without actually having to pull the mag out and check and see if it's empty.
Yep.
So it really helps with muscle memory and stuff like that. But we've been using these off and on for about 1.5 years now.
Oh! Hit! Oh! Go, go, go.
Almost 2 years. Between Zach Bruce getting some in before the shop started carrying them to test, and also Richie Rich from Team Fart, he left like 10 of them here, and we've been trying to give them back to him for 1.5 years now.
Yeah.
About a year. About a year. We've been like, hey, take these back. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he forgets about them. And then, like, we keep using them. So we have been putting these through the absolute ringer. These get used at every event that we go to. Literally everyone.
These literally got put into our circulation of shop magazines to be tested. Because he just wouldn't take them back. You know, maybe now after this video, I'm sure he'll take them back.
Yeah, but he'll probably want them back now.
Like Anthony just said, they got circled into being used at all the games. So these
with
have
the
gone
hex
through.
We've used them alongside the hex mags.
Hex mags, all the
testing
all
stuff.
the modifies, everything that we test out basically. So these have gone through the ringer to say the least. Especially Anthony and I being probably some of the most brutal ones on them. We've whooped the crap out of these things, and I'm not gonna lie. They've stood up to the test of our whooping somehow. Somehow, I don't know. Because I think at some points we were actively trying to break them to see if we could.
I mean, to be fair, out of the 10 mags, these 10 tan ones that we had available to us, we had like three of them fail eventually. We had 3 of them kind of wear out. The followers would get stuck halfway. We've had one of them crack, as this is the one that actually Matt has in his hand. We've had one crack right here.
This is my Buku one from Grozny. It's got some cracking down the back. Still works fine.
Still works.
I forget it's cracked half the time unless I actually look at it.
It still seats.
Still works.
I'm going to be real honest with you. After a lot of trials and tribulations and testing, if I were to go out and buy a brand new fresh set of mags, originally I would have overlooked the EPMs. And the reason I would have overlooked them was because at the beginning, when they first released, like 1.5 years ago, Oh, were they expensive?
They were on par with these. These came out new.
They were as expensive as these, and I was like, oh no.
To be fair, though,
they're nice. I think they're superior in a lot of ways to the original magazine, but to be fair, people aren't gonna pay that when you can buy a box of Elite Force Midcaps or buy a box of Mag brand Midcaps. You know, you're not gonna
just run high caps if you're that kind of person.
Like if you're gonna like, people are like, oh, they don't want to spend that much money on them, but now that they've dropped in price recently, well,
a couple months ago, actually.
Yeah, a while ago, actually. Once they dropped in price, I would wholeheartedly say that these would be my new go-to mags. I'm regretting the fact that Richie's probably going to want his back now, so I can't use them anymore, and I'm going to have to, like...
He'll have to come get them.
Buy my own. But...
That being said...
These would be my go-to mags if I had to purchase new mags.
Yeah. That being said,
I wish they came in the box, though.
Thank you to Rich for forgetting about these and wanting us to test them. We did. So, yeah. What do you think of them?
I really like them. I'd give them a solid, 9 out of 10. My only issue with them is a costing issue because they only sell them in single packs. So they sell for $19.99, $20. $20 retail.
Yeah, you can only
buy them in singles. The problem is just like the Hex mags, you can buy those in singles too. But the issue with that is that the Hex mags and the K120s and other mags like that, you can buy them in box sets and save a little bit of scratch by buying them in bulk. These, you cannot do that. That's my biggest downfall, is not so much with the magazine itself, but the way that it's sold at retail. Because you can't buy them in bulk and save a little money and do that. So you're stuck ponying up $19.99 per mag no matter what, unless you can get them on sale or use a coupon code or whatever. That's just how it's going to work. Other than that, I like that they take all Gen 2 PMag parts on the bottom so you can run Ranger plates. That's super cool. I like that they're user serviceable so you can take them apart. As you can see here, you can literally pop the spring out and stretch it out and check the track and make sure everything's all good. Newer versions of them have a slightly stiffer spring than the originals do, so these ones are actually superior to these ones. They feed a little better.
Yeah, that's one of the things we didn't really touch on. What is kind of all the ammo and guns we've ran these in?
We have run these in every single test gun that you have seen in all of our YouTube videos for the last almost year and a half now.
There's a coverall.
Every single one of them. And I'm not stuttering. Literally every single gun that you have seen us use in a video, whether it's my Scar at Battlegrounds, the ProTech, that Jack, that guy,
Tipman,
Daytona
gun,
they have been in every gun that accepts this type of Midcap magazine, and we have run it. My personal SPR right here, which right now is an AEG for Milsim West. I'm going back. Trust me, I don't want to run AEG anymore.
Loyal to the coil, man.
Loyal, bro. Representing. We've run them in everything, and outside of the 3 magazines that we've had problems with, one of them was dead from the word go. When Richie left them, it was already dead.
The other 2, one was a little while ago, and the other one I just recently, because I mark them with zip ties, so I know which ones, because they're Rich's, so we didn't draw them or anything. I marked that one with zip tie. All it really did was this. I think the spring had finally gone on it.
Yep, gonna have to pull it out.
But that's the thing is it should be stated, we've actually never done
no maintenance to these at all.
These have never had any silicone or lubricant or anything put in them. They've never been any of them disassembled, springs stretched. Because again, we have to test these for what they are as they come. So that's what we
don't do mods to them or anything.
A lot of people get kind of upset about little things like that, like, it wore out after a year. It's like, you have to understand that's a year of us using them almost every weekend, every other weekend at sometimes, and that means, for Milsim West sometimes...
They stay loaded for 40 to 60 some hours straight.
They stayed loaded with 103.2s in them for... Sometimes we wouldn't be able to, clean our gear, so...
Weeks.
These would get loaded Friday, and 2 or 3 of them wouldn't get touched. They wouldn't get unloaded
until
Tuesday. What about
after Rev last year, when I forgot them and they stayed loaded for 4 weeks over Christmas and stuff? Still work, by the way. They're all still work.
Out of the 10 Rich left us, technically we were only down 3. Pretty good ratios, I think.
A year and a half of beating up on them. I think that's pretty
And again,
solid.
that's whooping on by multiple. It's not just the 2 of us that have run them. It's
everybody.
Multiple people that have whooped on them. So
yep. And somehow we haven't lost any of them yet either.
Yeah. half the time if we're in the middle of a firefight and we get fired up, and one of these might just get ejected out a window.
Yeah,
or
literally,
something.
I'll literally just be like, and then I'll just throw it, and it'll just fly away, bounce across the cement floor, and disappear for a while.
Yeah, like we don't change our reloads or anything when we're like, say, out in the woods when there's nice soft mud and grass for these to land on.
Versus
me. We're at Grozny's, these were bouncing off walls.
Yeah,
and I was
like,
spiked one of them.
Like throwing them, get rid of them. I wholeheartedly like them. I give them a 9. I give them a solid 9. My biggest complaint with them is how you have to buy them, and that's my biggest issue with them. Because other than that, it's a completely perfect mag in my opinion, and I would actually redact my previous statement about how much I like the hex mags, and I would say that these are obviously topping the hex mags. After a year and some change of me beating up on them, I can say that I prefer these over the hex mags, and if I don't remember what I would say for the hex mag, whatever the hex mag score was that I gave it, but I would just obviously like drop it down a notch and put this above it. Sorry, this is how I would do it, man.
We're gonna have the honest guys videos attacking one another.
I'm just saying, I like these better. I like them better. All right, Matt. So I rambled on for a while about how much I liked it. What is your thoughts on the EPM?
I think I would honestly probably fire a 9 or an 8.5 at it. It being serviceable is always a plus because it makes the magazine last longer. Your longevity is so much greater with it because you can stretch the springs right off the bat, or you can replace them way down the road if you really need to. Yeah, especially I loaded mine the same way, so I never maxed it out to the 190, which obviously would wear your springs out a little faster. I always kept it around.
You might have jams and stuff like that.
We did do that for a while when we first started, when you got the black magazine from Zach Bruce to test. We did full loads on it. It would bind up, and that specific mag did want to wear out a little faster. So I think maybe something that could have been a good idea, but mechanically would have been more of a nightmare, would be more like the K120s where you could switch between numbers. Maybe have like
the
a
ones
90,
that go for the ERG.
Yeah, maybe something could have been a good idea, like having a definite 100-round stopper on here or something. Could have been an upgrade, but like obviously that's not really a downfall. I think my biggest one was maybe me just being a wuss. The retention stopper that holds your BBs from just flying out is actually extremely stiff.
Yeah.
So I would actually,
you could crack a fingernail.
If you have gloves or something on, you actually need to get a nail down in there. And I've bent and chipped nails off of that, right after my manicures because I couldn't get the BBs out. So I would have to half the time especially if you have gloves on, if I had a jam or had to reload and change something, I would have to use my multi-tool to pull that back. But you can also look at that on the reverse side, that is actually a plus. You will never worry about BBs getting shot out of this thing.
No, that's pretty true.
Yeah, you never have to worry about that because this is strong enough where you could whoop on it, throw it across the room, drop it. The BBs would stay in here. They would only come out once the mag was inserted into the gun and that follower was pushed back. I mean, fitment issues, I don't think we've ever had issues on pretty much all the standard brand AEGs. Bodies, I don't think we've had any issues. I would also give it a 9, I think. These have stayed true even throughout us testing other brands of magazines, trying out different bodies, receivers, engines, Franken guns, bastard parts, all sorts of stuff like that. These have always been consistent. They've always been a mag I just know I could grab, throw 3 2s, 4s in it, and it will feed them. Unless there's something completely just wrong with the gun or whatever we're putting it in, I know that these will function. I think that's a good thing, is the reliability of these. Yeah. I dare say they pretty much are your replacement for these. I mean, the only thing people get buttered about is these aren't kosher.
It doesn't look like a real PMag as much.
Yeah, well, get over it.
For my impressions. But
who cares?
Don't
poo on me.
The Poosden flag.
Don't poo on me.
But, I mean, to be fair, I think it is a superior mag as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, 9?
Yeah.
9.
Collective 18.
Spoiler alert, we like them a lot. There you go. TLDR, skip to the end, we liked them a lot.
Mm.
Minute
mark.
Huh?
Minute mark, we like them.
Yeah.
Go buys them.
Go buys them. Anyway, so if you guys have any suggestions about things we should be doing reviews on, but we haven't gotten around to yet, feel free. That doesn't mean we'll listen to them, but we'll try. And then, If you guys have any suggestions for other video series or anything cool like that, feel free to drop them down. Any questions about these or anything like that, drop them in doobly-doo. So this has been Anthony.
Matt.
Thanks for stopping by. Check us out on all our social media. Get you guys on the flip side.
Peace.